as a continent, the issue of our identity, our culture, what we aspire to be, is part of what we are discussing today.
We have a nation that is 70%, 75% under the age of 35. We have a population that has a median age of 19 years. And when you look at the human life cycle, that period of youth is the opportunity that human societies have to pivot, to imagine the future, to think about the new, to recreate themselves. And so we're really standing at a moment that is critical, really, really critical for Kenya and for Africa, because that percentage of demographic is across the continent. That power and energy of creativity is actually there. Now, the museum might sound like something old and staid and boring, but I think, as Kaisley tried to express, it is a space in which we can, first of all, remember, collect, celebrate those things that represent the best of us. And it is out of that that we can then reflect and think about those things that will represent the best of our future. So the time is now.
As creatives, quite often we are able to do slightly more in terms of defining, the community identity, but even transcending that identity. So that in the case of a museum like this, that's being imagined, we could focus on the Turkana identity or the Borana identity, but at the same time create an opportunity for the intersections of the various identities, of our communities. We are able to imagine a Kenyan identity, that may not have been captured through the art of a particular community, in isolation of other communities. So that in this space, you have a convergence of the ideas and the imaginings of the various communities coming together and actually challenging us to transcend an identity that may have stifled us to connect with others.
The genesis of this was that we have so many people who have committed themselves to art, but nobody is able. Actually, some come and say, can you tweet my art so that someone can see it? I have some very beautiful ones now. And they said, why can't we provide a platform for these young people to express themselves?
We have a generation who are so digitally experienced. We have a generation who are exposed to all kinds of visual cues that weren't there a generation ago. We could create a museum unlike any other, and I would imagine that with this, the richness of culture that I've seen in Kenya, that we could transform an audience as well. This is a great opportunity, and I think it's wonderful to see the investment of so many different vital constituents in that success in such a short period of time. But I also would love to see audiences, to see the wider population really get on board with this.
Government role is to be facilitated, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I told you I was spearheading the formulation of the National Museums and Heritage Act, which finally got it through leadership. You're right. I want to commit here. You tell us what exactly to be done, and it will be done. The process is it must be consultative, public participation. There is where everything gets messed up, because everybody's opinion wants to be in it, and that takes time to strike a balance. What is balanced for everybody to contribute?